Hello and welcome in again to another edition of your favorite video podcast, Musings from the Mountains, presented by WSports.com. I am your host slash co-host slash whatever you want to call me, managing editor for the site, Keenan Cummings.
You're the recruiting guru, Keenan. And I'm staff writer, Patrick Kopnick.
Yes, and once again, we're still quarantined, still zooming it up, but having a good time. And I hope you've had a good time following along with us over the last couple of weeks. We've had some recruits on. We're working on some former players as well. So we've got some exciting content, some exciting things still going on in the sports world, even though the balls aren't bouncing or being thrown around. Oscar Tshiebwe is back. He's back. Oscar Tshiebwe will be a Mountaineer again. For those of you on the blue lot, shout out to NJ. That was his kind of thing. I'm stealing it right now. Put that in the 3-2-1 this week. But Oscar's back. Entered his name into the NBA draft evaluation. Got better feedback than expected, but the result is pretty much what we expected. You know, Bob Huggins said pretty much from the start that he was confident Oscar would be back. And that's big news for West Virginia's front court in 2020, 2021, right, Pat?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they can have one of the most dominant front courts in the country. We saw what Oscar and Derek were able to do this past season. Now, I know there are some issues with those guys on the floor in terms of, you know, spacing, kind of getting in each other's way a little bit. But Oscar led the team in points. He led the team in rebounds. I mean, he's just, you know, a dominant force. I really believe, I mean, he's only just going to get better. I mean, he's still kind of learning his way in the college game and stuff. So once he truly, you know, make some more strides and everything, I mean, he's definitely going to be even more of a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, you look at what West Virginia has back now with Oscar in the fold. As long as there's no unexpected surprises, which, by the way, Bob Huggins talk would be kind of shocking at this point, West Virginia's got 12 scholarship players already, 9 of those returning from last year. They've got, I think it's 45% of their offensive rebounds, 43% of their total rebounds returning, a lot of their points coming back. This is a team that is going to be still relatively young, but now more experienced and hungry.
And deep.
You know, Oscar – yeah, and deep, totally deep. And they still have one scholarship to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So they could fill that as well. So this has a chance. I'm not going to say Huggins' best team, but on paper has a chance to be one of his better teams that he's had here since he's been at West Virginia. This is kind of your quintessential Bob Huggins team in a sense. You know, you got bigs that can run. You got tough guys on the floor. You got pretty good guard play, you know, as long as the point guard comes along. But this is a deep team and a team that, you know, finished 21-10 last year. He had that rough stretch in the middle, but there was a lot of optimism going in the tournament with how they finished the season playing at Baylor. So exciting. And now that Oscar's back, that's kind of that piece that West Virginia had to have if they wanted to be taken seriously. I think West Virginia is probably going to be anywhere between 12 to 18 is my guess right now in preseason polls, which you'll take that if you're West Virginia. I think that's a good starting point. And we'll see how far this team goes. You know, obviously this year, we'll never know how that team would have done in the tournament due to it being canceled, but we'll see what happens next year because I think that this team is going to be deep and talented. Mm-hmm. NFL draft. West Virginia continues to produce NFL talent. You can argue whether they've done as much as they could with that talent, you know, during Dane Holgerson's tenure, and obviously last year was a rebuilding year for Neil Brown, but 19 draft picks in the Big 12 since 2015. That's tied for second with TCU. And TCU made a jump. They had 5 taken this past weekend, so that put them into a tie. So other than Oklahoma, West Virginia's right at the top when it comes to producing talent, and not just quantity either, quality. They're number 1 since 2012 in top 15 picks. So that's pretty impressive for West Virginia. The 2 guys that did get drafted, Colton McKivitz, and we're going to count Kenny Robinson. I think that's fair, right, Pat?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He had unusual circumstances that led to his departure from West Virginia. But Pat, what did you think of draft weekend?
I mean, it's kind of what I expected. I mean, those were kind of like the 2 prospects that you really felt like were gonna, you know, hear their name called. I really felt like Colton was gonna hear his name called anywhere from rounds 4 through 7. Kenny Robinson, kind of same thing. I thought maybe he could have been a late day 2 kind of guy. But they went back to back in the 5th round. Kenny Robinson going to the Carolina Panthers will be rejoining his West Virginia teammate and quarterback Will Grier. Was back quarterback there. Colton going to the 49ers. Back-to-back selections. One in the 5th round, like I mentioned, 152nd, 153rd. If you're keeping track at home, the 2nd straight draft that West Virginia players have gone back-to-back. If you remember last year on the 3rd round, Will Grier, Yanni Kajus, the offensive tackle, went back-to-back. And then in the fourth round, actually, it was Gary Jennings, wide receiver, and tight end Trayvon Wesco being drafted back to back. But kind of what I expected, those two. I think Kenny definitely has a chance to compete for some playing time. I think he'll definitely be a contributor on special teams there with the Panthers, with under former Baylor coach Matt Rule. But we kind of see how things shake out, and I think you can expect Colton to provide some depth there at offensive tackle behind the newly acquired left tackle Trent Williams for the 49ers and Mike McGlinchey as well.
Over or under for 2021 West Virginia players drafted 2.5.
I think I want to go over. I'm willing to go over on that one.
I'm feeling over too. I don't know why I'm feeling over right now, because I think there's a lot of questions. Whether some guys jump early, whether West Virginia meets some transfer needs. But I'm feeling over right now too. I like Darius Stills. If Dante decides to go, I like him. You have a chance.
TJ Simmons, wide receiver.
Yeah, TJ Simmons, Vandarius Cowan. There's a lot of guys that have talent, but they've got to put it together. But I do like the over there too.
And we also and there was also some guys who signed undrafted free agent contracts. Keith Washington going to New Orleans Saints. Cornerback Akeem Bailey going to Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs. George Campbell, who was granted another year of eligibility, a 6th year. Had his got marred by injuries there at Florida State. Played one season at West Virginia. He signed with the New York Jets, and we also had another one in Josh Norwood. Remember his final play there was an interception, but unfortunately
one of the best interceptions you'll see.
But broke his collarbone on the play, which ended his final season a little shortly. But he is going to the Seattle Seahawks. So every year, if you don't have some. West Virginia always has some players being drafted, but then they also have numerous guys signing free agent deals and getting shots at training camp as well.
Moving on to recruiting, two lists that West Virginia's made. They are now in the top 4, final 4, whatever you want to call it, for KJ Wilson, offensive lineman, graduate transfer from Hampton, North Carolina native. He started all 12 games for the Pirates last year. Knows Matt Moore, was able to build a connection with him. And we'll see how it goes. He's really kind of kept things close to the vest from starting. I think it could be any of those 4 schools. What really throws a wrench in things is, as we talked about on the last show, guys can't visit anywhere right now. They're taking virtual visits. So how much can West Virginia impress, or some of these other schools impress, in these virtual settings? I guess that's going to be a new form of battle waging going on. Who's going to win the best with these virtual visits, as long as these graduate transfers have to do them. But Neal Brown has made it clear to me that they're going to kind of step outside their comfort zone, and they will take some of these graduate transfer guys if they can get them, because, obviously the clock's ticking and they got to make decisions, and West Virginia has to fill holes. Another top 3 West Virginia made, Jalen Cheek, cornerback / safety / we'll just call him a defensive back from New Jersey. I think out of the top 3, it's West Virginia, Boston College, and Pitt. Ultimately, I think this is a battle between West Virginia and Boston College. Which way am I leaning? Maybe a little bit more towards BC right now, but I think West Virginia is very much in the mix. I think that Chad Scott's done a phenomenal job there getting them involved. And I think regardless of who he commits to this early, he's told me he wants to take visits. So don't close that door if it's not West Virginia just yet. But thank you again for tuning in. We'll have a lot more information. We'll be back with you this week. We're going to talk to Neal Brown, get some of his thoughts, see what's going on there with the football program. And we'll be back to talk to you. We also are going to try to wrap up our best basketball team tournament of the 2000s. We're nearing the finish line there. We already got one team set for the finals, the 2016-17 team, which isn't a shock. They were seeded 2. That other side, you got that current team, the team from last year, 2019, versus 2015. So we'll see who plays for that title. We'll see. Thank you for tuning in again. This has been another edition of Musings from the Mountains.